If you want your own music or anything, you better get your own headset. Chetty, if you want your own music, you're gonna have to bring out your own headset.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I am tired.
Oh, we're live?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know.
I had to start. We're gonna wait and see what's going on. So when we get started, you guys can choose a position. When we're standing, one of you should be on the left, one of you should be on the right. And then obviously there might be some shadowing when we go down to do core.
Yeah.
But this is probably going to be the best positioning. I can come in between, do additional demonstrating if I need, and kind of move around. I'll lead the warm up from here. I'll get both of you guys to the sides behind me.
Lost it.
We got 3. Who do we have? Can you guys hear me okay? Can you guys hear me? How's the volume? Any response? Doing a mic check here. Just want to see if you guys can hear me. I can see a few viewers, but not sure if you guys can hear me. We're going to give it another 4 minutes before we go ahead and get started. Hannah, can you hear me? I just want to do a mic check.
Volume is good.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Kyle.
Cheers from Nova Scotia.
Good day, guys. Seeing some people I do not know, but this is good.
Thumbs up.
We got Bryce Kelly. Oh, Nova Scotia. That's great. That's great. Hopefully you guys got to view a little bit of the details. You'll have an idea of what we're going to be doing today. Do you guys see what I see on my screen in regards to the comments and then the details that are listed in regards to the actual workout? Can you guys see that? Up to 7 viewers now.
Can we tell them what they need for the exercise?
Yeah, so Terry brings up a good point. For those of you who are tuned in right now, you guys will be controlling your own music. I will not be playing any music, and that's just so that you guys can hear me okay. So you'll have your own personal selection, so you can get that ready if you haven't yet. If you don't have a water bottle, you might want to get that. And then as listed in my workout, some form of resistance. We're going to use a little bit. It's not going to be absolutely necessary. We'll have some modifications. But if you guys can see my information here, once again, I'm not sure if you can. If you have resistance band, if you have a laundry bottle, a backpack, anything creative from home that's going to give you a little bit of resistance. So I got a new comment here. Let's see what's going on. All right, so how do I, see less.
Loud and
Good morning, Karen. So I'm glad you guys can hear me. This is good. So I'll ask that question again. Can you guys see when I expand the description of today's workout? Can you guys see that? Okay, so yeah, if you can't see my screen where you have your comment section, just go to show more or show the details. So you'll see functional core strength live, and then you can expand by just clicking see more. Hopefully you guys, oh, we have a cameo by my cat Max. He may come in and out of the workout today. So we got 10 viewers now. All right, so it's 9 o'clock. So why don't we go ahead? Why don't we get started? First of all, hopefully you guys are having a great weekend, enjoying time at home with your families. Yesterday ended up being a fairly nice day here, which was great. So taking the time to get outside while still focusing on social distancing. If I didn't say it, Jordan Guillen out of London, Ontario, servicing Southwestern Ontario, been with PSP for 10 years on and off, few different locations, Borden, Toronto, 2 deployments, one in Kandahar, one in Kuwait. And here with me today, I have a couple participants. I have my girlfriend, Terry, and then I have Rods in the back, our roommate. So we're still social distancing, but we live together. So that's what's going on here. So before I actually get started, what I do need to do is I do need to read off a disclaimer. So I'm going to quickly do that, and then we'll get into the details of the overall workout. So in response to COVID-19, PSP is offering telefitness to Canadian Armed Forces members by using social media platforms. The telefitness class, tailored to Canadian Armed Forces personnel, become accessible to all. Prior to participating in this session and to make an informed decision on whether you should seek advice from a qualified exercise professional or a healthcare provider, consult the Get Active questionnaire of the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiology and the reference documents. So you can so that would be consulting before. By continuing with the telefitness, you understand that there's a possibility of physical injury, and you do agree that you do so voluntarily at your own risk. You also assume all risk of injury and agree to release the Canadian Forces Morale and Welfare Services from any and all claims related to your participation in this telefitness class, okay? So just a couple items before I get started then. I'm going to be moving around. I'm going to be coaching and correcting. I'm going to be talking to you guys. I'm going to be keeping timing on the overall class today. So for those of you who are attending, you do know that it's a functional core strength class. And we're going to be focusing on a series of functional muscular movements that's going to target the total body. And then we're going to be bringing in some movements that are more core and balance specific. So I want you guys to be engaged. I want you guys to focus on intention. And what intention is going to mean is that you're going to be focusing on mentally what you're doing as well as physically. So we're going to control what we're doing by our mind and forcing contractions and ensuring that we're following everything in the most correct way possible. So the workout itself, it can be performed by a beginner, an intermediate, and advanced individual. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to base it on time. So those who are a beginner, you can take a larger work to rest ratio. And the way that I'm going to time that today is going to be 30 seconds by 30 seconds. So that's work versus rest. An intermediate individual, we focus on 40 seconds work by 20 seconds rest. And then with an advanced, we're focusing on the least amount of rest, which is 50 seconds work and 10 seconds rest. So we're going to be going from that functional muscular movement, and we're going to move into something that's more core and balance specific. And that will be essentially 2 minutes. So those who are a beginner will do 1 minute's work in 2 minutes with 1 minute rest, and then the rest follows. Now, you can feel free to modify the workout as well at home, and you can do that by adjusting your work to rest. Maybe the first round you go through as a beginner, you move into an intermediate and an advanced. So you can do this in any way that you choose, but I'm going to keep timings for everybody, and I'm going to guide you through those timings and the exercises that we're going to be performing. We're going to go through this 3 times today. So we're going to start off with the rest of my introduction, which is going to be essentially that We're focusing on overall functional core strength today because they're movements that can translate into everyday activity. So by having a good core strength, it's going to increase our reduced risk of injury and then our overall strength in performing movements around the house or in the field. It could be lifting, pushing, pulling, or anything that requires those sort of efforts or movements. So any questions then from anybody before I kind of get started and move things a little bit further? So I'm going to go through the exercise description next. I'm not seeing, oh, here we go. We got some comments. There we go. All right. So no specific questions in regards to what I've explained. So let's just kind of move along then. So going through the exercises itself, and I'm going to come back to the comments just so I can answer any questions, and we'll adjust the camera as we need to. All right, so the first exercise that we're going to focus on is going to be a squat, and you guys don't necessarily have to do this with me at this point, but with the squat, there's a couple ways that we can modify the intensity. So if you are using resistance, and we have some forms of resistance here, we'll bring that into the workout. But with the squat, what we can do is we can give a variety by our foot stance. We can change it by the depth. But what we're looking for is roughly hip width to shoulder width apart, a nice neutral spine, and we're going to focus on sitting back, and then we're back up. So that nice neutral spine. I don't want to spend too much time with the exercises because I will have time to go through them as we start within the workout. Moving into the exercise that does correlate with that, we're going to focus on a single leg deadlift. So I'll give you the simplest version first, and if you need to, you can use a platform for support. But essentially what we're going to focus on doing is just extending out. So you want to stay nice and neutral through the back. And I'm going to keep timing so that you guys can switch sides. So we'll focus on one side at a time. And then the more difficult method of that movement is just going to be to stabilize. And we're going to try to get nice and straight. And with all the movements, I want you to focus on full and total control. With a lunge, we have a few options that we can do. We can start in a standing position, staying nice and tall, and we can just move up and down, and I'll give you those switches as well. We can also focus on stepping forward and stepping back if you have the space. Just watch your knee. Make sure that you keep a good angle, being an angle that's about 90 degrees. So after that, we're going to go into a leg raise. I'll get Terry to demonstrate this. So just laying flat on your back. And you're going to focus on bringing the hands underneath the hips. Your head's going to stay neutral. Legs are extended, and this would be the more difficult movement. So legs are fully extended. We're raising up. We're coming down, but not touching the ground. All right. If you want, you can focus on bending at the knees and then just moving through that same movement. Now, another modification would be bringing one leg flat on the floor at a 90-degree angle, and extend the other leg, and then just move through one leg at a time, and I will give you those switch movements as well. So moving into our next exercise, and I'm going to have Terry demonstrate this one as well, we're going to move into a push-up. So with the push-up, we're going to begin laying flat. There's a few variations we can do here as well. Once again, I'm going to emphasize always focusing on that core stability, right? Using that mind, focusing on that tension. So hands are going to be roughly shoulder width apart. You can modify that as well. If you want to go a little bit wider, it will make it easier. Terry's going to demonstrate first from the knee, from her feet. So she's going to extend all the way up. She's going to lower down, and then she's going to press back up. All right. So 50 seconds for a lot of people is going to be a long time. You can modify. So go to the knees, Terry. So we still have a little bit of elevation through the glute, but she's going to lower down. She's going to do that under control. And you can rest, you can modify. And then lastly, I'll get Terry to just show what an incline style push-up would look like. So just giving you guys some variations as you start to fatigue so you can modify. So stay straight to the core. So she's reducing the intensity by elevating her upper body. All right, so that's going to be that movement. The next movement is going to be a bird dog. So I'm going to get Terry to go onto all fours. And I'm going to give you an option for this one as well, which is going to be a Superman. So it's opposite arm, opposite leg, nice and straight across the top. No, come on. So you're going to elevate your left arm and your right leg, and you're going to bring it out. All right, so nice and tight, nice and stable across the top. She can focus on raising and lowering, tapping towards the floor. All right, but under control, not too explosive. focusing the whole time on that good contraction, that good core. She could hold in the top position, which is going to be an option as well. Now I'm going to get Terry to lay all the way down, and this is going to be for the Superman. So this is just a modified movement. So one arm's extended, one leg, and you're going to raise the alternate, keeping your head neutral with your bicep, and you can just move up and down. And once again, I'm going to indicate the switches. So moving into our next movement is going to be a bent over row. And for this, you'll need some form of resistance. We here have resistance bands. We have a laundry bottle. So I'll show you a few variations. I'd like to see everyone try to do this one from a standing position. And what we're looking for here is bringing the hips back, nice neutral spine, creating your resistance, and we're coming up to the sides. We're down under control. We're back up. We're squeezing. We're keeping the core nice and tight throughout. And I want you to just control the negative as well, which is the lowering, explode into the positive, and then pause for a moment. So this would be an option. And for those of you who maybe don't have a band at home, we can do a similar thing with a backpack that does have some resistance in it. So moving through. So a few different options for you guys at home. Now, another alternative would be coming into a position where you have something to support yourself, and we can focus on a single arm. Once again, keeping the core nice and tight, and we're going to obviously alternate through the sides. So into the last movement, we're going to focus on a single arm shoulder press. This is going to help build stability in that position. And I'm going to use a band for this. Oh, I missed the plank. So let's come back for a second. So Terry's going to demonstrate the plank. We can do this from a top position, so nice and stable. So bring the knees up, Terry. And we're just holding this position. Now we can also come down to the knees. We can drop down onto the elbow. And if we want, we can throw in even some more difficult variations. So come back up to the top, Terry. And even that was a good example. So moving up and down from your hands to your elbow. Keeping that core engaged the whole time. So I want you guys to focus on squeezing in through the core, squeezing through the glutes, squeezing through the quads. Keep everything engaged here. All right, so moving into the next exercise, we're going to focus on, and I'm going to have to maybe go to, let me just adjust the camera here for a moment so that you guys can see what I'm doing here. And I'm going to get Terry to demonstrate the core movement. So for this, I'm going to do a single arm, and where I stand on the band is going to change the tension. And I'm going to come up to a 90-degree angle. I'm going to press just outside the shoulder, control down, come back up, and we are alternating. So the whole time, I'm staying engaged through the core. I can feel the greatest contraction in through the opposite side. All right, so we're going to be engaging the core as we go through this movement. And then what we're going to do is we're going to nail that side with the plank. So you're going to come down, and it's going to be a side plank. So Terry's going to demonstrate from the top position. Feet wider is going to make it a little bit easier. And then you can also come down to the knee. And then there's some other come down to the knee or even come down to the elbow. So there's a few other variations that can be done. So that's the workout. That's the workout. So we want to try to aim to go through 3 times. Anybody have any questions? Let me just check the comments. You guys are probably about ready for the workout. At this point, we're 13 minutes in. The overall workout, I'm going to aim to finish at about 10-2. All right, so if you guys are good to go and I don't have any questions, which I don't believe that I do at the moment. Can't wait to start. Garrison, Toronto. All right, let's do this. All right, explanation's done. Let's get into the warm-up. So I'm going to move the equipment out of the way. I'm going to come up front here, and I'm going to get my assistants behind me here. Anything to say, guys?
What's up?
Do it.
For you guys at home, then, get that music going. Let's get it pumping. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start off. We want to gradually get the heart rate up. We want to get the muscle groups engaged that we're going to be training today. So we're just going to start off by moving on the spot. And what I want you to do is I want you to focus on some shoulder rolls. So just moving on the spot, and let's get those shoulders moving forward. And as mentioned again, when we do get started, I'm gonna walk you guys through it. So all you're gonna do is follow my cues. So we're gonna go shoulder rolls back, getting nice and loose. If you guys are like me, glycogen stores are full, indulging in that carbohydrate meal over the weekend. We're ready to go. We're ready to expend some of that energy. Let's bring the arms across the chest. So dynamic movement, we're opening up the chest as we bring the arms back. Getting the chest ready for some of that movement that we're going to be doing. Let's walk a little bit wider here, so just on the spot. Hopefully this is okay for some coordination. If you guys want to stay into a walking type movement, then that's fine as well. So think about what you're doing. Don't just roll through a movement. Retract the back. So that's going to be bringing the shoulder blades together at the back as you push. Let's step back in. Let's focus on pressing up overhead. So we're almost pretty good here with the upper body. Getting nice and loose. I know a lot of you are ready to get started. So let's focus on relaxing the upper body now. Let's focus on slowing it down, but let's bring some knees up a little bit higher. Get a good dynamic stretch in through the lower body. And then we're going to focus on elevating the heart rate a little bit before we get started. I'd rather you guys be warm throughout the whole body. And let's focus on bringing the heels back. So still nice and tight through the spine. Head's going to be neutral. So bringing those heels in towards the glutes. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to bring it into a light jog on the spot. Get the body temperature up a little bit here. Let's focus on going in and out. So just like a football shuffle. And if you struggle with the coordination element, that's okay. Just any kind of movement here, you can easily jog on the spot. That's going to be fun. Back to the center. Let's just speed it up marginally. Walk it out for a second. Let's focus on doing a few jumping jacks on the spot. You guys can modify as well, reducing the overall impact. Let's walk on the spot here. And let's focus on doing 5 squats. So just at your own pace, feet are hip width, shoulder width apart. The depth is up to you. They can be a smaller depth here. But I want you to focus on only going as low as where you're able to keep a nice neutral spine. Let's bring it into a push-up. And let's focus on doing 5. So you guys can do any style here that you want. I just want to continue that warm-up through the upper body. Focusing on good control. Engage that core. All right, let's focus on just doing a couple leg raises. So let's flip to your back. All right, guys, let's keep it going here. Let's lay it down to the back. And let's focus. You can modify here. I've shown you guys some options. Rods, try to keep the hips down. Hands are underneath. Try to keep the legs extended. Try not to touch down on the floor. So watch through the hips, all right? Keep that back nice and flat against the mat. All right, let's bring it up. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead. We're going to get started. I'm controlling the time. So beginners, we're going for 30 seconds. We're starting off with the squat. And I'm just going to make the adjustment here. So Rods is going to be aiming for 30 seconds. Terry's going to be going a little bit longer. She's more intermediate advanced. And I'm going to get you guys to go ahead. We're all going to start in 3, 2, and start. So I want you guys to stay nice and controlled. So focus on what you're doing. Don't worry so much about the speed in which you're doing it. I want you to focus on keeping control. So I want you guys to focus on controlling in through the negative, good posture through the back. And you can always try to keep a slight bend in the knee as you get to the top. So for Rods, because he's training as the beginner, he's just going to go for a few more seconds, and then he's going to take 30 seconds break. Terry's still going here. So Rods might continue to move through, but just know where you're at, because we are going to focus on doing multiple rounds, and we don't want to fatigue out. So the beginner's resting, the intermediate is now resting. Terry's going for another 10 seconds. So sorry, she's done now. So that was all three, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Let's get ready for the single leg deadlift. So remember, you guys can use this for support, and then remember the options, okay? So 3, 2, and let's start. So it doesn't have to be all the way. I want you guys to focus on your balance and your stability using this if you need to. Okay, try to move with the whole, try to keep that leg straight, Rods, as you extend it back. Keep that leg, there you go, there you go. And I need you to switch sides now, Rods. Terry, you're going to be, if you're intermediate, you're also switching sides, and Terry's switching sides right now. So know your limit, and you don't have to focus on going all the way. Try to move as one unit, Rods. So come up, and now focus on coming out and down at the same time, okay? All right, so Rods is done, intermediate's done, and Terry's done. So losing a little bit of track of time here just in the supporting. In terms of the lunge, that's our next movement. We're all starting, and that's going to be in 3, 2, and let's start. So we're focusing on keeping the body nice and straight. Terry's focusing on doing the one leg at a time, same as Rods. They're staying nice and tall. So for the beginner, we're going to be switching now. So Rods is switching, that was 15 seconds. Intermediates, you're switching now, so switching legs. And then for the advanced, you're switching now. So Terry's switching. So another way that we can increase the intensity, so Rods is done. Rods, that's his 30 seconds. And the next movement we're going to be going into is going to be the leg raise. So for those intermediates, you're done. And now you got that 20 seconds recovery. And then for Terry, she's going to be done in 3, 2, and done. All right, so now we're going to move into the movement that's associated here, which is leg raise. So we're going to lay flat down. And remember those variations. We're going to start in 3, 2, and start. So it's either a double leg, it's a single leg, it's either with a bent leg, or you can focus on one leg resting at 90. So for the beginner, we're going to go for another 4 seconds. And Rods, you're going to keep going. If you're doing one leg, you've switched if you're a beginner. And if you're an intermediate and you're doing a single leg, you're now switching. And if you're an advanced, you're now switching legs if you were focusing on a single leg. So Rods is resting now. He's taking that 30-second break. You got 5 seconds if you were an intermediate. So now the intermediates have 20 seconds rest, and the advanced are continuing to move through. So just remember, head's neutral. I guess you guys can't really see Terry here. And you're resting, okay? So Rods is 20 seconds in on his rest. We're going to be starting up in 5 seconds. No, you were done, Terry. And we're moving into the next movement, which is going to be the push-up. So we're going to start in 3, 2, and let's start. So remember the modifications, okay? So for an advanced person, it's going to be a long time to try to go for that distance. And if you have a band at home and you want to modify, you can focus on doing a chest press as well. So this would be a little bit easier to do for the duration. The beginners have 5 more seconds. And Rods, you're resting for 30. Intermediate, you guys have another 10 seconds. In advanced, we're at 15 seconds. So if you're an intermediate, I want you to go ahead and I want you to start your rest now. Terry's going to move through as the advanced. She's got 5 more seconds. Great work, Terry. Head neutral, engage the core, and we're resting. So the next movement is going to be the bird dog. I'm going to get Terry to do it from the top position. I'm going to get Rods to do the Superman. So Rods is going to lay flat, and we're going to start now. So opposite arm, opposite leg, head neutral rods. Keep both arms extended out. It's going to make it easier for you. Yeah, both arms extended, and you're just raising up. Keep that head neutral. So lower your head down so it's in between your bicep and your ear. And for those who are intermediate, you're now switching sides. If you're doing the Superman, hopefully you're alternating. And I'm going to get Terry to switch sides if she isn't already. So this would be the advanced now, switching from side to side. And as you can see, Terry is making it even a little bit more difficult. She's trying to bring the elbow down in to the knee. All right, so intermediates are resting. Rod, sorry I missed you. You were rest a long time ago, and now Terry's resting. So we've made it through this series. We're 3 through right now. We're going to move to the bent row. So I'm going to get you guys to go ahead, grab your resistance, and you guys are taking as much rest as you needed. So the time's already started. So what I'm going to ask Rods to do, or the beginners at home, and you guys go ahead and start. The beginners at home, when you have that 30 seconds rest, when you have that 20 seconds rest, I want you to get ready into the next movement. So you're ready, you're good to go. You're grabbing a drink in between, but then we're ready to start on time. So Rods as a beginner has less than 10 seconds. Nice neutral spine here. Terry's going to continue through. So the beginner is done. So you're taking that 30 seconds, and you know now that the next exercise is the plank. So as a beginner, you're going to get ready within that time frame. So intermediates, we're now resting. So now you're at 40 seconds through. You have 20 seconds rest. And moving to Terry, she now has 10 seconds rest. Okay, so I want everybody to get ready for that plank movement. So we're 7 minutes into the workout here, varying intensity for everyone, and we're starting. So modifying as you need to. So Terry's nice and straight here across the top. Rods is deciding to go from the elbow. And what I want you guys to do is, as soon as you feel yourself fatiguing, it's okay to challenge yourself, but if you feel like you're sagging or if your butt's too high up in the air, I want you to come down to your knees. And then I want you to just modify that intensity. If we need to, then we just rest overall. So beginners, you got 3, 2, and beginners are now resting. So beginners have that 30 seconds rest. You guys are grabbing a drink. And you can easily modify. Now, I say beginner, that's just how I'm setting the different levels for today. But in all reality, this is still challenging here. So everybody's now resting. Sorry, guys, I got carried away talking. We're going to get ready into the next movement, and that's going to be a single arm press. So Rods, you should be ready. And then Terry's getting ready, and we're starting. So where you step on the band is going to be what creates the tension. And as I mentioned previously, I'm going to adjust this here, is you're going to feel it in the opposite side. So your body's going to be fighting to maintain that stabilization. Switch sides, Rods. All right, and then the other option, right, any kind of resistance. So here I have the laundry ball. If you're intermediate, you've now switched. And Terry switches as well. So the next movement we're going to move into is going to be that side plank, and it can be performed down on the elbow, or it can be performed from the upper position. So intermediates have rested, and Terry's just got a couple more reps, and then she's good. So let's take that rest, and we're getting ready for the side plank. So in 3, 2, and side plank, we're almost 1 round through. All right, so this is a lot of work, especially for those who are going intermediate or going advanced. It's way more work than it is to rest. So after we get through this, what I want you guys to do is we're going to focus on taking a breather. So Rods, switch sides. So if you're that beginner 30 to 30, you're switching sides to focus on the other side. Intermediates have switched, and now I'm going to get Terry to switch as well. So we're just alternating sides. So engaging that core. So you're using a lot of the oblique down on the bottom, and this will complete the circuit. So this will get us all the way through. So Rods, you're done. Intermediates are actually done, and then Terry's got less than 10 seconds. So she's got 5, 4, 3, 2, and then rest. So what I want to do now is I want everybody to just take some extended rest, and that's all levels, and that was our first cycle through. So pay attention how you feel, how you felt, If you want to make it a little bit more difficult this time, go from a beginner to an intermediate and so on, an intermediate to an advanced. But just remember that we are going to go through 2 more rounds, which is actually going to put us more towards about 9:50. So it is looking like my class will end up being an hour overall from start to finish. I kind of thought that would be the case. The intro went a little bit longer than I had anticipated. I'm just going to check to see if there are any comments here. So we're at 30 seconds extra rest. And how are you guys feeling?
Good.
Terry's breathing a little bit heavy, so I can see that the intensity is certainly up in that advanced. Now, I'm going to give Terry the option as well. If she doesn't want to go the whole time through for 50 again, depending on how she's feeling, she can do 45, she can do 40 seconds, she can do 30, so she can alternate as well. So I'm not seeing any questions. We're coming up on an extra minute, so beginners have had a minute and a half. Are you guys ready to start up again? All right, so grab your drink if you haven't. Adrian Parks is in the house now, and we're going to go ahead, we're going to get started again. So we're moving into the squat. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start the timer, and we're going to start in 3, 2, and start. So we're focusing on that 30 seconds for the beginner, nice neutral spine. We're focusing on 40 seconds for the intermediate. So we got no butt wings here, which is good. And that's when the back starts to round, the lower back rounds out in the bottom position. You want to try to avoid that. So for beginners, you have another 10 seconds. So actually 5, 4, 3, and beginners are now into their next set of rest. So if Rod's wanted to continue, I'll give him that option. And for those who are working in the intermediate, you guys are focusing on taking your rest now. So now we're at that 20 seconds rest. We've been through the exercises, so everyone knows that the next exercise is that single leg deadlift, not stiff-legged, and now everybody's done. So I'm going to put this out here just for something for stability if we need it, and we're going to start in 3, 2, and start. So I want you to move as one unit, okay? So I'm going to get Rods to just stop and watch me for a second. So I'm upright, and my leg is moving with my upper body. Okay, Rods? So try to move, yeah? So you're going to bring that upper body into more of a straightened position. Switch sides, Rods. And intermediates are going to switch as well. So it's kind of hard to keep timing for everything with some of the coaching correcting. And then advanced are now switching. So we're just moving to the alternate leg. So this is going to focus on good stability through the core, but it's going to put some effort or some emphasis onto the leg that's supporting. So intermediates are now done. I'm going to get Rods to hold up too. And then our advanced people just have 5 seconds. And we know that our next movement is lunge. So moving through this combo is actually quite challenging. So I'm going to get you to rest there. And you guys can alternate legs, or if you're focusing on one leg, we're going to start in 3, 2, and then start. So I want you to keep the body nice and straight. And you're either on the spot or you're focusing on stepping forward. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with focusing on alternating legs, stepping forward, stepping back. So if you're doing one leg like Rods is, you're going to switch as a beginner. And intermediates are now switching as well. And then advanced are switching right now. So as an advanced, you're switching sides. So Rods, I want you to focus on trying to come back a little bit more when you come down so that your knee's not going so far forward. So you're getting a lot of forward lean. Try to come straight down rather than take a larger step forward. And now, so that way your knee's still coming forward. So what I want you to do is try to sit back. So everybody's resting now. Sorry, I lost a little bit of timing there with that coaching and correcting again. It's more important to make sure that everybody's doing this properly. So we're going to get started right away with our next movement, which is the push-up, the leg raise. So Terry was already in and we're all started. We're all 10 seconds in already. So a lot of transitioning, a little bit difficult to keep 100% precise here with the timing. So I do apologize for that. I'm going to continue to do my best. You have 10 seconds left as a beginner. So if you were doing one leg, you've already switched. Rods, watch your hips. Try to keep your lower back in continual contact with the ground. So as an intermediate, you have 5 seconds. And that's going to be 3, 2, and intermediates are resting. We have 10 more seconds for that advanced. And then for the beginners and intermediates, I want you guys to get ready for the push-up or get ready for the chest press, depending on what you're using. So everybody's resting now, and we're going to move into the push-up. So remember the different options. Remember that we can do this from the knees. Remember that we can do the incline push-up as well using the couch or an object. And we're all going to go ahead. We're going to get started here. So Terry's going right into the most difficult movement. Good for her. As we're doing this, you want to retract the back, right? It's like I mentioned before. Try to bring the shoulder blades together. And when you push up, I want you to be pushing from the chest. Use intention. If you focus on trying to push your hands in together while they stay in position on the floor, it's also going to force the chest to contract. So beginners are now resting. Terry's modified to the knees, but she's still moving here. But I want you to take rest if you need it, so at any point. So intermediates are now done, and it's only the advanced that are still moving. And Terry's just got 5 seconds. What a trooper, moving through the whole time. So from here, we're moving into the bird dog and the Superman. Terry stops. You can just stay laying flat down. And Terry's breathing pretty heavy here. This is good. It's a good workout. It's a lot of work, especially for the advanced. So let's go ahead. Let's get started. So keep the head neutral, Rod. Neutral in between the bicep. Terry's extending out. You guys are moving through. So once again, at home, I want you guys resting if you need extra rest time. So switch if you're a beginner and you're just focused on one side at a time. If you're intermediate, I now want you to switch. And if you're advanced, you're now switching. We do want to train each side of the body evenly. So from here, we're going to be moving into the next exercise, which is going to be the bent row. So those who are beginner are done. Intermediate's done, and then Terry's got 5 more seconds as the advanced. 3, 2, and let's stop. So grabbing your resistance, whatever that be, for the bent over row. I showed the different options, and we're going to go ahead. We're going to get started in 3, 2, and start. So where you step on the band is going to be what determines the tension. I want you guys to focus on neutral spine rods. So I want you to focus on. So try to lose that momentum, rods. I want all the movement to come from the upper body. And if you can, I want you to stick the glutes back, not a squat, and that way you're bent into it a little bit more. So beginners are now done. If you want to continue, you can move through to the intermediate timing, which is 10 more seconds. And 5, 4, 3, intermediate's done. Terry's going to keep working here. What a trooper, just pushing through. And we're good, Terry. So next movement is going to be moving into the plank, and we all know the variations. So we're 17 minutes of work time in, we're about 20 minutes of workout time, and let's start that plank. So nice and tight, engage the core, engage the quads, the glutes. This is total body here. I want you guys to focus on squeezing everything. So we're 10 seconds in. We're 15, so we're halfway through for the beginners. And remember, as you guys start to fatigue, I want you to drop down onto the knee or just rest all together. So as a beginner, you're done. 10 more seconds for an intermediate. So 5 more seconds for an intermediate. Grabbing a drink, resting in between. Resting as an intermediate now, and Terry's going to continue for another 5 seconds. In 3, 2, and rest. All right, so we have that 10 seconds. We're going to be moving in to our next movement, which is going to be the shoulder press. And this is our last series before we get through the second time. So focus on your tension, and let's go ahead and get started. So the more space you have here in terms of how much is available on the band, the easier it's going to be. So as we reduce the resistance, that's going to be what changed things. And for those at home who just have another object, we're just controlling through the movement, breathing out on the way up, in on the way down. We're switching as a beginner and an intermediate because I took that a little bit long. And then Terry's switching as well. And we're gonna be partnering this in with the side plank. So for those who were beginner and intermediate, once you feel you've gotten an even amount of reps, try to stay straight. Try not to lean to any side. Use that oblique, okay? So we're resting. Terry's going to do a couple more reps here. And we're good. So let's move it into the side plank. Remember the variations. And 3, 2, and we're in the position. And I'll adjust the camera here. Remember those variations, okay? Both rods and Terry are going from the top, but remember, we can do this from the knee as well. We can do this from the elbow. If you're a beginner, I want you to switch sides. If you're an intermediate, we're now switching sides. Both rods and Terry have their feet spread apart. Terry's are together, which is going to make it more difficult. And then rods are a little bit wider, which will make it easier. So the beginner's resting now. We got a few more seconds for the intermediate.
Switching sides?
Yeah, oh, you haven't switched yet?
No.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, that was my bad. So Terry basically just did that whole thing on one side, but she's done now. So a little bit more emphasis on that one side. So we're going to rest, Terry. And that was our second time through now. So second time through, and we're going to take a rest again. Okay, so it's going to be an extended rest. And I want you guys to grab a drink. I want you guys to focus on some extra recovery. How's everybody doing? I know that my responses are delayed. Okay, so I see some thumbs up, which is good. How are you guys finding it? You guys getting a good workout? I can hear some heavy breathing behind me here, so that's definitely the case in this household. So depending on how you feel moving into this last set, what I would like you guys to do is I would like for you to modify as necessary. So maybe you've done 2 sets now of the advanced, which is 50 seconds. Maybe you bring it down, or maybe you're pyramiding up. Maybe you went from beginner to intermediate, you need to go back down. But I want you guys to build in that modification. So we're focused right now on an extra minute rest. So for beginners, we end up having 1.5 minutes right now. I want to take it a little bit longer. So I want to go another 25 seconds. So this will give beginners 2 minutes rest overall after doing that series. And then obviously a little bit less for everyone else. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Are you good to keep going? Okay, so we got our last series here now. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to get ready to start. Great work out there, guys. Follow the cue. So we're starting off with squats. And we're going to start in 3, 2, and start. So I want you to focus on a nice neutral spine. Good job, rods. I want you to sit back. You probably feel comfortable with those knees, but that's good. Not coming out too far. So as a beginner, we have 15 more seconds. As an intermediate, we have 20 more seconds. And now as an advanced, we have 25 seconds. So Rods has just got one more rep. We're going to rest there. So that's the beginner resting. Grab a drink. Get ready for the next movement. The next movement's going to be that single leg. And Rods, what I really want you to do is, as an intermediate, you're done now. I want you to try to really focus on moving that upper body in line with the leg. And now Terry's done. So I'm going to get you to watch me for a second. What are you doing? And what you're doing is you're moving as one unit. All right, Rods? Moving as one unit. All right, in 3, 2, and start. And how low you go is going to depend on just how comfortable you feel. What are you pointing at, Terry?
Table.
Oh. You can talk. You don't have to be quiet. And switch, Rods. So we're switching legs if you were a beginner. As an intermediate, you're now switching legs. We want to emphasize both sides of the body. We want to train them evenly here. So no doubt this is super challenging for everybody. If you haven't switched as an intermediate or an advanced, you're doing that as well. And we just have 10 more seconds for advanced. So Rods is going advanced now. We went right from beginner to advanced. And we're going to rest. So everybody's resting now. So next movement is going to be the lunge. We're going to move this out of the way. And 3, 2, and lunge. So remember the modifications. Remember the variations. Great work, guys. So watch that front knee, Rods. What I want you to do is rather than leaning forward as you step forward, I want you to think about coming more up and down. Okay, so more up and down. Okay, so you took a smaller step that time. So if you haven't already, I want everybody to switch legs. I got caught up once again trying to coach you. Watch your knee, Rod. So rather than stepping and lunging and leaning into it, I want you to come more down. Okay? All right, so we're almost there. In 3, 2, and everybody is now resting. So the next movement is going to be the leg raise. And remember to modify, okay? You can focus on one leg at 90 if you're really fatigued. Everybody's started by now. And I want you to control that movement. So we're trying not to rest at the bottom. We're trying to lower our feet down so that they're just a couple inches from the ground. And then as soon as we get tired, we focus on either bending at the knee. So we just got 10 more seconds left for the beginner. And the intermediate's halfway, and now Terry's halfway. So as the beginner, you can go ahead, you can rest. So that's that 1-to-1 work to rest ratio. And then as the intermediate, you got 5 more seconds. So 5 more seconds as the intermediate. The intermediate is now done, and we just have less than 10 seconds now for the advanced. And what a trooper Terry is pushing through. I'm sure there's some of you at home that are doing the same. So we're resting here. And as beginner, as a beginner, as an intermediate, you guys are resting and drinking in between. So now we're into the push-up. And we're started. Sorry, guys. So modifying as we need to, but these two troopers still nice and tight through the core, so they have everything stabilized here. We only have 10 more seconds with the beginner, so 10 more seconds with the beginner. And then intermediates is 15 seconds. And then I'm going to get Rods to take a break here, so he's got his 30 seconds. He's going to keep going, though, so he's going full intermediate. 5 seconds left for intermediate. So intermediate is now resting, and we just have advanced moving. And we want to be ready for our next movement, which is going to be that bird dog. All right? And we're done, Terry. So you guys are going to be adjusting. Rods is going to be doing the Superman. Terry's focused on doing the bird dog in 3, 2, and let's start back up. So nice and controlled. Nice tabletop across the top. We don't want to focus on moving without control. With everything that we do, as I mentioned earlier, having intention. So focusing on concentrating. Squeezing the muscle, doing it with good form, with good technique. And if you're doing one side, I want you to switch, and that would apply to everybody. And as the beginner, we have 5 seconds remaining, and the beginner is going to take rest now. Beginner's got that 30 seconds recovery. And I want Terry to switch. I think she's been focused on one side the whole way through.
No, I switched up.
Intermediates is good, and we're resting here. And then we just have 5 more seconds for the advanced. And the advanced is going to now break. So now we're just moving into the bent over row. So we only have 2 more exercises. We're going to be done in 4 minutes. And then we're going to move through that cool down. And I'll debrief as I do the cool down just so that we're done before 10 o'clock. So let's go ahead. Let's get started. So grabbing onto that band. Backs nice and straight. Okay. Good job. So arched. That's good, Chetty. So focus on sticking your butt back. There you go. Good job. So there's nothing wrong with coming low, all right? Coming lower rather than being more upright, okay? But if you're more comfortable in that top position, that's fine. So beginners, we're into our rest. Beginners are into our 30 seconds. And our intermediates are now done. They're going to focus on taking an extra 20 seconds. And then Terry's just got a couple more reps. So 2 more reps, Terry. All right, take a break. So our next movement, you probably know the series by now. It's going to be the plank. So we're going to get ready. And then we're going to move right into our last set, and then we're going to start to cool it down. So let's go ahead, let's get started. And this is where you would really start to implement some of those variations that I'd given in the beginning. So both of my side plank. Yeah, we're hitting that oblique, right? So we want to be targeting the opposite of what we were focusing on. So as we were focusing on the shoulder press, we're contracting with the opposite side, trying to keep that core nice and engaged. So if you haven't, I want you guys to switch. Apologize once again, I got carried away giving some additional instruction and some additional feedback. And for beginners, we've passed that 30-second point. For intermediate, we've passed it as well. And Terry's going to hold it here to try to even out each side. And we're good. So take a break. Oh, that was my bad. We went from row.
Yeah.
Terry went into side plank. So my apologies here. My apologies. I missed that. So we went from the row. It should have been the plank. If you did the plank, let's just move into the side plank. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to keep it moving. So we're into the shoulder. I guess I just wanted it to be done. All right, good work. So controlling through that. I want you guys to keep that upper body nice and stabilized. Don't worry about coming all the way down, rods. You can see yourself in the TV. Just focus on coming down to a 90. So just a 90. You're coming a little low. So Terry, you're coming a little low. Switch sides. If you haven't switched them already, that was a little bit long. My apologies. But we're almost there. We're almost there, everyone. I'll have you guys done and out of here before 10 o'clock. So the overall main body in terms of work will end up being, okay, let's switch. Let's move into the plank now. And if you did the side plank last time because of me, that was my mistake, you can do the regular plank or you can do the side plank again. But let's bring it, let's focus on holding. Terry did the side plank and I changed rods halfway through. Rods, just try to straighten out through the glutes there. And for a beginner, we just have 10 more seconds. So you guys are almost done. So it'll be 30 minutes of actual work. We built some extra rest in there, which is kind of why it's extended as long as it has. Beginners are done. So beginners, you can take that rest. Intermediate, you can go ahead, you can take that rest now. And we're almost there. We just have a little bit left to focus on. And Terry's got 5 seconds. 3, 2, and Terry's done. All right, guys, so congrats. That's the workout. What I want you guys to do now is just take a moment. I want you guys to grab a drink. Your heart rates are probably going to be elevated just because of the amount of work and the amount of movement that we're doing. So we do have a few comments here. Let's see what's going on. So he likes the variations and options, Mr. Healy. Well, thank you, sir. So you guys grab a drink. You can move around on the spot. We're going to get back to doing a bit of our V shape here. And I didn't do any work, right? Really easy for me, but I'm going to let these guys kind of start to recover. But I do want to get you guys out of here before 10 o'clock. So I want to get into this cool down. So I can see a good glare off of Terry. She's got a good sweat going. That's what you get when you're advanced. All right, so we're just going to move around on the spot. That's going to allow the heart rate to come back down. We're grabbing just above the elbow here, and we're just bringing the arm across, stretching out the shoulder. We got a few thumbs up there. Let's switch sides. So I think I'll be doing this workout myself after we get off. And what I will do is I'll do some plugging here. I think in the beginning I forgot to mention, which is my bad. If you haven't already, check out the national page. That's the CFMWS PSP national page. There's a full schedule. We're going to bring the arms forward. And it's a really, really in-depth schedule. 5 days a week, approximately 12 classes a day, running every hour with a lot of different variations. And that's with PSP staff nationally, so all across Canada. So you can choose into the workout that you want to be focusing on. And then for myself, I am focused on offering a workout every other day. That's on my page, so Jordan B. Guillen. I know right now we're on the Garrison Toronto page. I do fall under in Southwestern Ontario, Toronto, which is why that's the case. So I'll be offering a class every other every other Monday live. And then Hannah and Ryan are offering a class which is Thursdays, and that's at 1 o'clock. And you can see a schedule on the Toronto Garrison page that Kim, the coordinator, just posted this week. So I definitely check out that schedule. You guys have tons and tons of options. So my workout on Wednesday that I'm going to be posting is a cardiovascular workout. It's 60% intensity average, which is what we're going to be focusing on. So I'm going to get you guys just to relax here. We're going to step forward, one leg forward, heel down, toe up. So as mentioned, the workout that I'm going to be posting is a cardiovascular workout. It's 6 stations, and we're going to move through those stations with 50 seconds work, 10 seconds transition, and we're doing 5 rounds of the 6 exercises of switch legs, which is going to be a total workout time of 30 minutes. So I do recommend that you guys check that out. And I am going to stay after as well. I'll be here to answer any questions that you guys have. Looks like I'm a little bit over an hour now. So I know originally I said about 50 minutes. If you did less work, you're gone probably by now. But you would have obviously missed this part here. Let's take a little bit of a wider stance. We're just going to come down to one side. We're just going to focus on stretching the inner part of that leg that's extended. We're just going to hold the position. So for some of you, you might be able to go a little bit deeper into it. I don't have the greatest of flexibility. And let's switch sides. So if you guys have any questions, I'd like to see them start popping up right now. I am going to stay after, but I appreciate that some of you are going to start tuning out now just because it is at that hour point. So not seeing really any questions. All right, let's just bring it down to a seated position. And what we're going to do is we're just going to extend one leg. We're going to focus on keeping the back nice and tall. We're going to stretch out towards the toe. And we're holding a stretch in and around for 20 seconds or a little bit greater. All right, I'm going to shorten this one a little bit. Grab that leg that's bent. Let's tuck it in, keeping that posture nice and tall. And once again, why do we do this workout? We're trying to focus on building functional core strength. So we took some movements that are translatable into everyday activity. So that's going to be our squat, our press, our row. So they're going to translate into your ability to be able to push, to pull, to move, to carry, and reduce risk of injury by having a nice, tight, stabilized core. Did we switch legs yet?
No.
Let's switch to the other side. This is going to be the last stretch I'm going to do, just so that we can wrap this up. And as mentioned, I will stick around. So I'm not seeing any questions pop up, so I'm kind of assuming at this point you guys don't have any. For those who are here and did the workout, let's see some thumbs up if you enjoyed it, if you got something out of that workout. So let's hug it in. Back nice and tall. Let's hear it for the volunteers. All right, well, you guys did a great job.
Thank you.
All right, guys, thank you very much for coming out to the workout. Hopefully you guys have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And as I mentioned previously, I'm going to stick around. It looks like there's a couple people left. Oh, this is why I can't see anything, because my comments weren't at the bottom. So Karen had a great workout. Looks like she sweated quite a bit, which is great. Good takeaway, good muscular, overall total body workout. All right, what else do we have here? No other comments.
Nate said, good job, Chetty.
Oh, there we go. Good job, Chet. Great, good job, Chetty. So for those of you who don't know, Chetty is rods. Karen was saying, great job, everyone. Said Pete likes the variations. All right, guys, so no comments. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to log out. Sorry I took a little bit longer than I anticipated. I should have timed that out a little bit better. But hopefully you guys join either our workouts, some of the other PSP workouts, the Toronto workouts. Next one, as I mentioned, for me is on Wednesday. All right, so enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks, guys.